Hey everyone, this is PrinceWatercress, and welcome back to Let's Play Magical Taruruuto-Kun for the Japanese Mega Drive. And by going up at the beginning of Stage 3, we find a charge for our magic. You'll find plenty of things to throw here, such as tree stumps. And you'll also find these little spooky looking trees that have arms that move up and down. Those arms can be used as platforms to get to where you want to go. Also, you want to watch those little purple dragons that spit fire at you. They can spit them high, but they can also spit them low. So you want to watch these guys accordingly. And if you can hit them in the back, that definitely helps. Now before we go any further, we do want to go up here and then make our way to the left. Jumping is a bit touchy. Just by pressing left or right and the jump button at the same time, you can actually make some big leaps. And when you reach this door, just press up to go in, and you'll meet this girl who will give you a gameplay hint, and then you'll be kicked back out to the level itself. When you come back, everything will respawn, including enemies and power-ups. And you can pick stuff up again if you need to. You can actually backtrack and get that magic charge if you want it. Also, don't know why Taruruuto-Kun was moving his attack wand in and out like he did. That was kind of weird. Yeah, he was doing that without any noises being made while I was moving in a certain direction, but never got that to happen again. Anyway, here we'll be jumping over pits and dealing with the bats that move around in sine wave patterns. Kind of like the Medusas in Castlevania. You also have the glide in a few parts as well. So you better be ready to glide. And you'd also better be ready to duck in case any bats come your way and you're afraid they might hit you. After fighting off a couple more bats, we should be nearing the end of this section soon, where we will be facing a mini-boss. I'm switching to this magic that I got from Memora in the last stage in order to fight this Dracula look-alike. This guy has two attacks and they both happen at random. Either he sends a bunch of bats at you, or he causes the platform near him, or at least a part of the ground near him, to act like a platform and go straight up. And when that platform hits the ground, a bunch of apples fall from the top of the screen. Strangely, I only got the bat attack. And as a result, I never got to see the apple attack. Anyway, after beating that mini-boss, we jumped on a cloud to end up in this auto-scrolling segment where we have to jump from one cloud to another with all the clouds coming in from the left side of the screen while avoiding monkeys that throw apples as well as these giraffes. If you get pushed all the way past the left edge of the screen, whether it be by a giraffe blocking your path or whether you stand on the giraffe's heads for too long, you're going to lose a life instantly. And of course I shouldn't mention jumping into a pit, or the pit at the bottom of the screen, because, well, that will cause you to lose a life instantly too. It also helps to not get hurt here, because if you get knocked back, you're gonna fall off the cloud and you will fall into the pit below. And this auto-scroller took a lot of memorization just to get through. And this part is only 2 minutes long. And it is quite possibly one of the worst, if not the worst, auto-scrolling segments I've ever seen, due to all the memorization you have to do on top of all the jump control problems that this game has. Because jumping is very touchy in this game. All I have to do is just tap the direction I'm facing and the jump button simultaneously, and I'll go pretty far. I've noticed this as I played through the second half of the game. And then there's the glide controls on top of that too, but I'll mention that later on in the video. And after losing so many lives and using how many of the 3 continues you have. Yes, there are limited continues. You end up here. And yes, you do have limited continues. You have up to 3 before the game kicks you all the way back to the beginning. Which makes practicing the auto-scrolling sections of this game ridiculously harder than it should be. Thankfully, this part is much easier. Now, if you want to get to the rock, you can just glide to it. But if you don't, you drop down here, you'll be able to refill one of your hit points. Of course, you'll have to go back to where you were, but, well, it's worth it. We're starting to see these enemies that shoot out these short-range laser beams out of their one eye. And you don't see those kinds of enemies very often. You want to wait for them to stop shooting before you hit them with an attack of your own. Other than that, you got a lot of platforming. You got quite a few spikes to avoid. You also got this full life replenishment in here too. Finally figured out that's what that was. And compared to the last segment, which was auto-scrolling, this part is much easier. There is stuff to the left there, but I'm not going to go for it. And now we're in a place full of lava and heat and everything. You got these rocks that bounce down these hills. You got fireballs that come in and out of the lava. Those hand enemies, they'll dive towards you when you get close enough. 4 hits from the one will do them in. And of course you also want to avoid the plumes of lava that bob up and down like that, because they do make it a little harder to jump across when they're all the way up. Like that, it's pretty hard to jump over them when they're up like that. And had I not taken a hit there on that lava plume, that first one, I would have been able to go past those last 3 lava plumes without having to worry about taking damage or even them going up. And at these platforms above the lava, I just go ahead and use one of my charges for invincibility there, because jumping from one platform to another is ridiculously hard. I mean, it's not super hard, but it's harder than it should be. Just because you can't even land on the edge of the platform without falling straight down into the lava, and you don't have a lot of invincibility frames. And that was really dumb of me to take 2 hits from the same enemy. Thankfully, I was able to replenish all of my life there. And now a few of these rock enemies start coming up from the sky there, just coming down at you from the sky. But that's the last of them that do, really. After some careful jumping to avoid the lava, I take care of this hand, and then we're in the next section. Here, you have a bunch of water and rocks for the ground and signs that you can use as weapons. And you also have these guys that act as platforms, these little fire-breathing turtles. Thankfully, when they lean in a direction like that, you don't get pushed into the water. You still want to watch out for the fire, though. But as long as you're good with the jumping, the fire should not be even that much of a threat. Also, at the top of this slope here, you want to use your glide and move carefully to get on that turtle. After some of these I-beam monsters, we have that power-up over there. I want to go up there and get that. Thankfully, doing it isn't all that hard. All you have to do is just get on the platform and then watch it with the jumps. Inside is a 1-up, which I'm definitely going to need. Thankfully, we can just jump to this turtle platform, jump from one to another as carefully and as quickly as we can at the same time. And then we'll end this part. And now it's time to take on the Stage 3 boss. For this boss, you want to stay in the middle, So that way you can get to this ball as quickly as possible before the boss punches the cliff, sending the ball straight towards you at a very quick speed. As for the laser beams, you want to jump over the mid-range lasers and duck under the high-range lasers while you're still standing at the middle of the cliff. This guy will go down after you send a ball into his forehead about 5 times. You just gotta be patient with the RNG here. And with that, stage 3 is now clear. And we get some dialogue between Edoju and Taruruuto-Kun. Once again, I leave the text on the screen for a considerable amount of time, so that way you have more than enough of a chance to pause it if you want to read it, assuming you know Japanese, of course. Once again, I do not, but I'm still leaving these text scenes, if you can call them that, in the video. You'll meet Rie again, as well. And you'll also get this third and final magical power, which is basically another screen clearing thing as far as I'm concerned. I never really use it that much, but anyway, we are now in stage 4. There's that third power briefly there in case you wanted to see it. I'm not going to use it. And here you'll be leaping over cars, taking out these big green birds that dump trash downwards. That's a new enemy here. And you also have 2 of these little columns you can throw at enemies. One of them has a Sega sign, the other one has the Japanese Mega Drive logo, which I actually think is pretty neat. I might as well go ahead and get that energy replenished, because I lost it in a very dumb manner. You also see signs that have the magical Taruruuto-Kun logos on them as well, which is also a pretty nice touch. Stinks that the background, which is a residential district, doesn't move along with this. But once you finish that first section, you meet this guy with the machine gun helicopter again. It's another auto-scroller. This one's even worse. Don't even bother grabbing the items. I know one of them has an extra life, but it's not worth it. Whenever you come out of a leaping animation, whether you drop down like that or whether you jump, you get pushed back just a little bit. So you want to be just right of center. Also, if you're on a platform and you don't see the guardrail there, that's your cue to glide. The second glide is the worst. You either have to do the glide, come out of it early, and then jump to the next platform, or you have to come to a complete stop and then make a running jump off the edge and hope you land there. However way you do it, you have the hope you get lucky and land there. That is stupid. Now you're asking, why did you call that stupid? It's just like the last auto-scrolling segment. Except this one takes even more memorization and concentration than the other one. And if you don't make that one glide jump before the end, you're not going to make it. I'm going to say this right now. Other games have done the whole glide thing better than this game. If this game just had the Mega Man style slide and a double jump, just a normal double jump and a Mega Man style slide, and the game was changed to accommodate both of those things, I would be okay with that. But it doesn't, and that's why the game isn't as good as I want it to be. Anyway, we are now entering this fortress of some kind to rescue a girl. I'm assuming it's Kawaii, the girl we met all the way back in stage 1. By going up here and to the left, we managed to get another charge for our magic. There are some more platforms to the right. I'm assuming those lead to even more power-ups, but I can never get to them because I hate the glide. Again, why couldn't this game just do a double jump? Also, the blocks with the four dots on them, you can just move straight through them. The ones with the triangles are solid. And I'm just going to go straight to the right here so I can fight this guy off and then just go ahead and leave. And I don't even know what's in that box up there. Now here we just move a pot out of the way, throw it away, and then leap on this switch to get to the other side of this room. Thankfully, once you've beaten the second auto-scrolling section, the rest of the game is much easier. And these little wall tiles with the faces, just like in stage 2, if you attack them with your wand, they will move closer towards the screen, they will move out, and you will be able to use them as platforms, which is rather nice. At this point, you should be used to the jumping. I'm going to go to the left real quick to show you that you can refill your health entirely if you need to. Just watch out for these spikes. And then you continue on with the level as normal. There is a pod here, but it's pretty much useless. You might as well go ahead and throw it out. And then you have to use the glide to slide all the way down this corridor. Thankfully you won't hit this guy that will shoot lightning out. I forgot to mention these guys. They do two short hops and a long one. And when they do a long one, they jump straight up, stay in the air a little bit, and then send shocks of lightning in 4 different directions that travel a fairly good distance. So you want to hit them while they're doing the 2 short hops. And now for this section. I cannot believe I got hit by the spikes. Thankfully they are not instant death, but I'd have 3 hits on me at all times because you cannot increase your maximum health in this game at all as far as I can tell. Thankfully, this is a tad easier than the platforms that you have to deal with in the Wily stages in Mega Man 2. Slightly easier. Slightly. Thankfully, you can duck under these dragon's fireballs. And from here, you just want to go up, stay on the center of the platform, and just duck straight down until you reach the end. As long as you're in the center there, the walls on the left, the spikes on the left wall, rather, will not hurt you. Now, there is one of 2 ways you can do this. You can either get one of the wheels from these 2 tank enemies, or 3 actually, and use it to ride your way through the stage, or you can get a cannon and just move your way down here like normal. You can also move your way down here without a cannon, but I recommend having a cannon because it makes this part easier. As for the spikes, if you don't have the wheels, which lets you go through them without getting hurt, you can just use your glide to get past them. And if you can time it right, you can do it without landing on the spikes themselves and taking unnecessary damage. Now, for some reason, because of the terrible firing rate of this cannon that I'm holding, I have to get all the way over here to shoot this thing, just so I can get all the way over here. Now, regardless of whether or not I went left or right up there earlier, I will go to this pot regardless of which way I go. But if I take this corridor, I skip a little bit of the level, and I can refill all of my health. Once you've reached these spikes here, you know you're getting pretty close to the end of this part of the level. Just wait for these guys to just drop straight to the ground, hit them with your wand, take care of the lightning guy, and there you go. There shouldn't be any more enemies past this point, but I do end up going through here cautiously regardless. For this section, we got to use our glide just to get through that corridor there, that little narrow passageway, just so we can fight some more enemies. There is a way to get that box up there, but I can't think of it to save my life. And now it's time for more platforming and making blocks come out of walls. as well as some accidental mistakes in platforming. At least enemies don't respawn in this game. Love how that one tile right there can't decide if it wants to be a V tile or a crescent moon tile. So it's just partly both. Interesting graphical glitch there. I think it's probably in the cartridge as well. I don't know. But here, when you reach these wooden banisters, you do want to go right as the game tells you. Because if you don't, you're going to have to do part of this stage all over again. I'm talking about the orange section of this stage. And now we're in a purple section, which is the maze. You want to go all the way to the right and enter this door. Then glide past this guy and go to the door on the left side of the screen. Next up, you want to go through the middle door. Now here, you want to use your wand on the little purple thing in the ground that causes the statue to rise up, and you want to jump on his head and go into the upper door on the upper right corner. Drop down, enter the door below, then grab this pot, go further down, take care of the enemy that is right there if you need to, and then zap the head of the statue and enter the door that you see behind it. From here, you'll get a chance to refill 2 of your hearts. Be careful in this room so that you don't lose any more. And next up is the final boss. For the final boss, you'll first start fighting 2 statues. You want to stay on the left side here, and the fireballs shoot out as follows. Lower, upper, then 2 from the right and 2 from the left. You want to destroy the statues, regardless of which one you hit, until they go down and the wall explodes, and you meet this guy, Ryvar. You want to wait until this guy stops moving around in midair, so he shoots these fireballs. These fireballs create these 2 creatures that bounce towards you on the floor. When you destroy them, Ryvar will drop down and quickly attack you. You want to attack him before he attacks you, obviously. And you have to hit him 8 times. Remember, when he stops moving in midair, that's when he's going to shoot the fireballs, which create these things that I'm shooting, or killing rather, before he tries to attack you. After a while, you'll get used to the pattern, which he thankfully never deviates from. Also, it appears that you're rescuing this girl in the background that I have failed to mention until now. I find it interesting that she is wearing a sheer pink blouse, and you can see her undergarments. That's shonen manga for you, I suppose. But anyway, once you get the pattern down, as well as how Ryvar fights, you'll take this guy down in no time at all. Also, he's wearing 2 of those little white ball things, whereas Taruruuto-Kun, or whatever the heck his name is, I can't even pronounce it anymore. So I'm assuming he's also a magical troll, just like Taruruuto-Kun. That's what I'm easily assuming. But anyway, after you beat the final boss, you'll get a whole bunch more text that I can't read because, once again, I do not know Japanese. And after all this text is over and done with, you'll finally see the credits followed by the ending screen. I'm assuming the girl that we rescued is once again Kawaii, who we saw all the way in stage 1. Anyway, the beginning of that music reminded me of How Dare You by Basha. I'll put that song in the description. And we finally see the credits where Ken Sugimori is mentioned. If you've ever played Pokemon, he's mentioned in that game as well. Especially red and blue versions as well as yellow version. That's because this game is developed by Game Freak, who would later bring us Pokemon in a couple of years after this game was released. Also, you get the names of all the characters too, which is pretty cool. And after we see presented by Sega, we finally see the last ending screen, and from here you can power off and power back on or reset the game in order to play it again, if you so choose, because you can't leave the screen once you're on it. So how does this game stack up? Well, the graphics are pretty nice. Music is okay. I do like the digitized voices. The sound isn't terrible. Not completely terrible. The controls are fine up until it's time to do the gliding thing. Again, like I mentioned earlier, if the game had just a double jump and a Mega Man style slide, and the game was changed to accompany both of these things, instead of the glide that you do when you press C while in midair, or whatever you have the jump button configured to. If they had the double jump and the Mega Man style slide rather than the whole gliding thing that we had to do, I would have been okay with that. It would have made the auto-scrolling sections in this game much better. But as it stands, the controls are where the game just kind of lacks. It just kind of brings the game down. And I wish they did not do the glide, which, again, I have to mention, was done better in other games. Like Spyro, and that was 3D. This is 2D, and they couldn't even get that right? Come on, game. And when I really want to play this again, I would once in a while just to challenge myself again, but then I'd probably remember the auto-scrolling segments and the problems I had with the gliding, especially in the second auto-scrolling segment, which, by the way, I don't hate auto-scrolling segments. I never have. But this game has auto-scrolling segments that I hate. And when you combine that with only having 3 continues until you're kicked back at the beginning of the game, with no choice but to go through all the game that you got through just to get back to where you were, since you don't even have passwords in this game, it kind of makes me want to second guess whether or not I want to play this game again. So after playing through this game once, there's really nothing else to look forward to. And the thing with the gliding and the auto-scrollers just keep me from wanting to come back. There are other magical Taruruuto-Kun games for the Famicom, the Super Famicom, the Game Gear, and the Game Boy. I may play those, I may not. Depends on what I want to do. Hopefully they're better than this. But the gripes that I have with this game makes me wish that this game was better than it actually is. It would have been a great game at least. It would have been at least slightly above average. But no. The game is hard for reasons that it should not be hard for. And this is after trying so many times to get through that auto-scrolling segment in Stage 4. I am glad I never have to play through that part again. So, do I recommend this? Well, I guess if you want every single Japanese Mega Drive game there is, like, it'd be good for the collection. Not sure if you'd want to play it, though, because of the gripes I mentioned earlier. There are better licensed games out there than this. So that is it for Let's Play Magical Taruruuto-Kun for the Japanese Mega Drive. Hopefully I will be back with another game. Hopefully it will be better than this one, which I somehow managed to play through in a day despite the problems that I had with it. Special thanks to Daypala rather, for bringing this game to my attention and also playing through it themselves. And that's pretty much all I have to say in terms of special thanks and whatnot. So, hopefully I will be back with another game. Hopefully it will be better than the one I just played. Until then, this is PrinceWatercress. Take care, stay safe, thanks for watching, and see you guys later!